So glad you could join us for worship this morning. It is Kids Club Sunday, so this will look a little different than maybe you're used to. But if you're not aware, we started a Crossroads Kids Club this fall at Washington Elementary School, about 3 blocks that way. And I know a lot of you aren't able to necessarily be there, but we wanted to kind of share the excitement of what's happening there. So this will look sort of like what we do on Wednesday night and after school, and so a part of that, really our theme this morning is really revolve around children and serving children and whatnot. So we're blessed to have Carmen with us from Romania and her friends, who I haven't actually met yet, but hi guys, and she'll be sharing a little bit, and then Joseph, myself, and I were in Romania a few weeks ago. We'll be hearing a little bit from that. And then we have Hannah joining us this morning, who is a teacher working with children. So it's all connected when you see it. So anyway, so for Kids Club, the first thing we do at Kids Club, and first of all, it's like more chaotic. You guys aren't running around nearly enough like they do at Kids Club. We meet in the gym. But the first thing you do is kind of come in and check in and just see how the day is doing. So that's how we're going to do this right now, is just turn maybe 2 or 3 people around you, just kind of greet them, say hello, ask them how their week's going, that kind of thing. All right, so check in with one another. Go ahead and do that. All right, so after we've had a chance to check in, and at Kids Club we always do that in small groups, because if you did it in a large group it'd be chaos. Then it's chaos anyway. Yeah, and let me just tell you about Kids Club. It's lots of chaos, but kids love it, and there's Jesus in there somewhere, right? That's kind of my summary of it. So, but after that, then we get them all. The other thing is we meet in a gym, so there's lots of room to run around, which is really cool, but also crazy. So then it's time for songs. And Grace is our song leader, and she's actually volunteered. So yeah, she actually willingly volunteered. She's going to do a couple of the favorite songs we do at Kids Club. So she's going to lead. And so anyone that has volunteered with Kids Club, you may not have known this, but I'd like you to come up here, up front. Grace is going to show us the motions. We're going to lead them. And then, you guys are just hearing these songs for the first time, so we'll see how that works. And we're going to try and do phone to microphone. You think that'll work?
Maybe we'll see.
Microphone?
What's that?
About what? What are you gonna do?
Music.
Oh, sure, it'll work great.
You think it will? And Jess, can you hold it? You're going to be our phone to microphone.
Do you mind holding this as well?
Sure.
Thank you. And then you can...
Yeah, great. And you guys should all stand up and try and do this with us. We'll have some motions, songs, and just like this. I won't be doing motions though.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, you stand right there.
Looking out, it's a great big world. Where do I go? How do I fit in? Gotta keep this one thing on my mind. Maker of all the universes on my side. And if God is for me, who can be against me? God is for me, who can be against me? He is my strength, He is my friend forever. God is for me, who can be against me? Looking out, it's a great big world. Where do I go? How do I fit in? Gotta keep this one thing on my mind. Maker of all the universes on my side. And if God is for me, who can be against me? God is for me, who can be against me? He is my strength, He is my friend forever. God is for me, who can be against me? When I just
We got one more, but I got some kids that actually come to Kids Club. These guys are these guys are the best at it. We need your help. Okay.
All right.
I wanna sing, I wanna shout, I wanna tell everybody what I know about. I gotta light, I gotta shine, it makes me dance and spin around. I'm so excited, I just can't hide it, I cannot keep it to myself. I'm so excited, I just can't hide it, I cannot keep it to myself. So I throw my hands up and wave them side to side. I throw my hands up and give you a high five. I throw my hands up and wave them side to side. I throw my hands up and give you a high five. 'Cause Jesus is alive. Jesus is alive. Jesus is alive. Jesus is alive. I wanna sing, I wanna shout, I wanna tell everybody what I know about. I gotta light, I gotta shine, it makes me dance and spin around. I'm so excited, I just can't hide it, I cannot keep it to myself. I'm so excited, I just can't hide it, I cannot keep it to myself. So I throw my hands up and wave them side to side. I throw my hands up and give you a high five. I throw my hands up and wave them side to side. I throw my hands up and give you a high five. 'Cause Jesus is alive. I know that Jesus is alive. Jesus is alive. We're singing Jesus is alive. Jesus is alive. I know that Jesus is alive. Jesus is alive. I know that Jesus is
All right, so now if you are at Kids Club after the song time, we do a lesson time. Now at Kids Club, lesson time is about 10 minutes maximum, because that's about the length we can handle. I'm hoping you can handle a little longer than that, but we'll find out. We'll see. So for our teaching time and sharing time, we have a lot of different things that have happened. Like I said, the theme is all kind of connected around children. And serving them in that, serving the Lord through the children. And so we're going to have a chance for different people to share. So first I'd like my dad and Joseph to come up. And just a couple weeks ago, we were in Romania and had a chance to serve over there. So we're going to share just briefly about some of our experiences. You want to go first? You're going second.
Okay, well, start with, that's what I told everybody in Romania. I don't like to fly. So Owen sort of hoodwinked me into this thing by buying 5 tickets and only having 4 people to go, and then Joseph thought I should go, and God thought I should go, and I decided that, I can't be chicken-livered forever. Sometimes you got to stand up, man up, do the thing. It's 5,201 miles from Chicago to Bucharest. And I only bring that up because every time I was there in Romania, I started out saying I flew 4,000 miles, then it was 8,000 miles, then I just kept adding and adding. But what did I do there? I worked a little, I ate a lot, I prayed with a lot of people. They let me speak, kind of like you guys here, and it's always the same. You tell them, what Jesus has done for you, and I should have listened more. I apologize for that. Next trip, I'll listen more. But that's the thing about a mission trip, is you get there, and as soon as you get home, you want to go back. So, I don't know. I think it's your turn.
Okay, so this was the second time I went to Romania in 2019. And we went there to refurbish a very small apartment for a family. And we did end up doing some work, but it was a different family than the other one because the father of the first family wouldn't allow us to refurbish their apartment because he thought that if we did that, then he would have to be a Christian. So he didn't let us do that, and God opened up another family, so we were able to bless that family and renovate their apartment. But God works in many mysterious and weird ways to us. He makes it inviting, like, let's go renovate an apartment, but he gets us there for the real purpose that he has in mind. And so we went there to refurbish an apartment, and God got us there to build the relationships more, especially for me because it's my second time, so I was able to build more relationships and build them stronger. And we went with my father and son, Chad and Jeremiah, and Chad had an idea of like a business he wanted to start up before we went to Romania. And while we were at Romania, on first Sunday morning we went to a church there, and a woman named Kati like prophesied to Chad that he would start foundation, and then like 5 minutes later she and a group of her friends donated like 100 euros, and then a few minutes later someone else donated another 50, and later in the service someone donated another 50 to help start this foundation. So God brought him there to make this foundation a thing, and now he didn't know really what it looked like at all, but now it's going to be something for children, I think. I don't know.
I don't think he wrote it.
Yeah, and it's instead of being for people or children in America, he's going to start it in Romania and give back to what they gave to him.
Yeah, so a lot of cool stories there. Just to follow up on what Joseph said, I think and what you're seeing there are some pictures from our trip, if you didn't get that. Yeah, so I think when we were there and this started happening with Chad and like receiving money, the people were there saying, this has never happened before. This is not like a everyday run of the mill thing. Like God was definitely doing a new thing there, and it was actually pretty cool to think that like when God stirs something up, like the source, you don't predict the source or where it will come from. Even Chad himself was like, well, this isn't what I was expecting. Like I didn't know. I'll give you a little bit, and it's probably better if Chad was here to share his story, but a little bit. So because I think it's really kind of a cool thing. Cool. No, I don't want to say cool. Like God was teaching me through Chad's life. A lot of times, when we have difficulties in life and struggles, and we say, like we say, oh, okay, God's in this. There's good purpose. God knows what He's doing, and it's easy to kind of say those things, but it's really hard to to really believe it deep down in your heart when you're going through a crappy moment. Like you can't think. It's just hard to think like, okay, this is a good thing. Like this is really good. I'm going through this crappy moment. But I saw another picture of it, and it was very clear to me. So Chad, they have 8 adopted kids and a lot of special needs and hospital visits and stuff like that. So he actually had a good paying job, but he felt he had to quit that job so he could be home and help his wife more and be supportive of the family. And then he's like, we just got to figure out what to do for a job. So that happened this spring of 2019. Quits his job, his home with the family. He's starting some other businesses and doing some side work, just to living on faith. And so he doesn't have like a regular Monday through Friday type job. So now we go to Romania in the spring. We find out about this family, and we say, man, actually Carmen's brother Aurel says, hey, this could be a project. We could do this. We find out it doesn't really cost a whole lot to rehab an apartment. So okay, let's do that. And so we're gonna go. but we can't find anybody to go with us because we're going in November, and some people go to school and things like that, and work. So we're talking to Chad. Now, before we left, I've only talked to Chad, honestly, one time. Two times. They came to our house once for dinner. We went there once. And he was asking me about it and some questions. Okay. But he wasn't sure he could go. I bought 3 plane tickets, 3 of us. And I didn't think I had anybody else. I think the next day Chad called me and said, tell me a little more about that Romania trip. And he's saying, so Chad is by trade a carpenter. And he says, I think I have the skills to go. My family is stabilized. God has already provided the money. And because I don't have a job right now, I can actually go. And so God used that really difficult time in his life in spring to get him to this place where he could say yes. When no one else could say yes, he could say yes. And then what happened, in Romania and this amazing thing. Really a cool picture of God working through difficult circumstances. So that was one thing that really stood out to me. And before I turn into a preacher, I'll just share the second thing with you. And this was, God had me in 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, kind of the whole trip. And there's a verse in 1 John that talks about love and fear, and how perfect love casts out all fear. And Joseph talked a little bit about this father who basically rejected a free gift to have his family's apartment fixed up and become livable. It still isn't livable, but he rejected that because he was operating out of fear. He was afraid, you're going to make me become Christians, you're going to expect things from me, you're just doing this to make money off of me. He had all these fears, and that's how he was responding. And we got the news about this, so we were supposed to start work Monday morning. We got Sunday night, we went to a worship service at Doimel in that neighborhood. And we got the news, not just us, but everybody, the church there, that this wasn't going to be happening that night, Sunday night. And it was really difficult. It was really hard to process through that and pray through that. But it actually became one of my highlights, I think, for the week, because recognizing, for me, it was a reminder that we can't respond out of fear, even when someone else does it. We need to respond out of love. So this husband, father, at some point will come back. His kids come to the program. His family is involved, even though he's not. And that we need to continue to show love to him and to his family. There will come a point where we need to respond in love. So the result of that is that we still were able to bless a family, and we still were able to work on an apartment, and we're still able to make a positive impact in that neighborhood, and hopefully for that community center, they'll be able to see results from that down the road to come. So there's a little picture of Romania, but now you can get another picture, and I'd like to invite Carmen to come up. And she works in another part of the same town where we were. So this is a neighborhood called Doimel where we're working here, and it's more apartment buildings. And she works in the neighborhood of Obor, is that right? And at the place called the Hope Center. And I'll let her explain more about what she does there.
How should I start this? You said to share a little bit how we started working. So Brett and Nora Hayes and their 5 kids moved from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Romania in 2001. And shortly after that, they founded the ministry called Outstretched Hands of Romania. And they were in need of, people to work with them. They preferred Romanians at that point. I mean, they needed, obviously, Romanians to be able to reach the community. And at that time, I was living in Austria, in Vienna, with my family. We had moved there in 2004. And I had a good job, I thought. So I wasn't, when Brad visited Austria in 2005, he had recently just started the ministry, and he asked me if I was interested in going back and work with them. And since, I was kind of enjoying the life there, I said no. But then my brother, Aurel, he was in Austria too, and Brad had asked both of us if we wanted to. And I said no, but Aurel said yes. So he moved back to Romania in 2006. And then he visited our family for Christmas the same year, and he asked me again, would you think about it, and I don't know, maybe just give it a try for 6 months to a year and see how it goes. And actually, right after he left, when I came back home, my job wasn't doing. I lost the job I had, and I started working as a babysitter and house cleaning, which was fine. Just I found myself in this circle that I wasn't gonna get out of. Look like, and I just felt that I was doing. Cleaning is nice and it's good to have clean house, and I didn't mind it, but I just felt like I wasn't doing anything meaningful. I was like, I can do this forever, and I'm not gonna be happy. I'm not gonna feel like I'm doing something meaningful. So I just I remembered what my brother said, so I was like, okay, I should try this. I should go back to Romania and see what happens. And I wrote Brad, and he just the struggle, I guess, what I was thinking, and he said, he shared his experience with me about moving to Romania, and he said, he told me what God had told him then, I know you're willing to go, but what will you actually do? So I was like, this kind of, not pressured me, but it made me, make a decision, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna go. So I did go in March 2008. I was about to be 6 months to a year. It's been 11 years, and and I'm still there, and I still love it. And what I do is, okay, it's fine. I work at a community center that's in a very poor neighborhood of Turkish gypsies. They were, traveling gypsies a long time ago, but at some point the mayor of Kalarash just decided to give them like an area like outside of town that they would, settle down. And because they didn't go to school, the parents never went to school. The kids are having a hard time adjusting. The parents, some of them don't see the importance of going to school. But some are thinking, I didn't go to school and it's so hard for me, so I want you guys to go to school, the kids. But it's, school is free in Romania, but it's still, there's challenges. Kids need they need shoes, clothes, bags, school bags, school supplies and all that stuff, which obviously are not free. So, the parents cannot afford to buy all these things, and this is where we kind of come in and are able to help with all the donations that we receive from states and from other places. We're able to provide all these things and just to help them to stay in school and just encourage them. And then at this community center, we have an after-school program, a kindergarten program, and spiritual church service on Sunday evening, and just spiritual programs with the kids and teenagers. So we're there 5 times a week, 5 days a week, sorry, and then Sunday with the church service. And we try to do something special for Christmas when we have the families over with the kids and give them something that we've been working on. Sometimes we get the Samaritans purse that you guys are doing right now. Other times we need to make our own, and but God has been really faithful, and every year there's something that we can give to the kids, and we invite them over for just the famous cabbage rolls that we make every year, and sing some Christmas songs and have a short message about Jesus, and has it been 10 minutes? Am I done? I was just, I don't know if I was just really amazed by what I've heard Mariah is doing, and I just want to encourage you to, keep doing it. And the song that was saying, you used the weak to lead the strong, or something like that. And it's reminding me of this verse that says that God chose the small things of the world, or the ones that are invisible, even to put to shame the ones that are strong or visible. And this is, to me, that speaks I mean, it's very encouraging because this is what I think of Calamidad at this neighborhood. Yeah, it's very encouraging. God does that. God does that. And I believe He uses Mariah to do that too. And I don't know if you see yourself as a child, but God is using children to lead the people who think are strong. And sometimes kids are even stronger than us, and there's such a big encouragement for us. So keep up the good work. I really look up to you. And this is, just seeing that room and just hearing your dad speaking about what you're doing with the after-school program is really encouraging. So God bless you. Yes.
Share a story of where you've seen God use, maybe who you've been working with, or something you now become a leader and He's done. Because you've been there 11 years now. Right?
Yeah.
An example of that?
I don't know if I shared this at the vision. Probably not. There's this girl. Her name is Georgiana. She just turned 16 yesterday. She's really ambitious. She loves to study, loves to learn. She's really good at school. When she graduated from 8th grade, she wanted to go to high school, and which is something that doesn't really happen much there with girls, especially because they get married really young, at about that age, like 14, 15. It's when they call it get married, but they just move in with this guy, and So I thought she was in the picture, but she's not. So she wanted to go to high school, and we were looking for a good high school for her to go to, and we found this Christian high school in Bucharest, which is an hour and a half drive. But anyway, she got accepted there, and she was there for a year, and she did very good. The teachers were all, praising her for her character and good behavior, and all, studying really well. And obviously, she said it was a little hard because, the demands were a little higher than what she was used to in Kalash. But she did very well. And then, but it was a hard year, I guess, for her. And then she came home. She chose to go to high school in town because, she wanted to be home every day with her family. But and then now she's going to a school in town, and she's just telling us how she gets all these good grades, and the teachers are praising her in front of her classmates, saying that she's doing really good for coming, because everybody knows where she's coming from, and that neighborhood is just looked down upon, because it's like the same thing with Jesus, nothing good came from, people don't know if anything good coming from that neighborhood. So so she's really, when she started going to this high school in Bucharest, everybody was like, oh, we want to go to that high school, so we want to go where Georgiana's going. We want to, it just became a tangible, thing that they could do because she did it, So that was really encouraging for her too, I think, and for all of us to see that, it's possible and she can do it. And we're really still, praying for her that she would, continue to do, to stay in school and to actually graduate. That would be really cool if she did that. Yeah. I don't know what else. This was Bible Olympics, they call it, I think, where we hosted it at the Hope Center, and we had some of the kids do it too. They need to learn to memorize scriptures, and then they get these questions, at the end. And at the end of it, they get diplomas and awards and stuff. And they were really encouraged to get into it. It's the competition, I guess, that it gets them excited. But anyway, I know that all the memory verses that I've known are from that time when I was that age. So they stay with you throughout your life. So that's what we're hoping, that it doesn't matter what actually gets you to do it. As long as you do it, because it's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. And thank you so much for welcoming me, for supporting us, and for sending people over there. Thank you.
So when I found out that there were some people from Romania coming over, I petitioned pretty hard. Actually, everyone I talked to, I asked if Carmen could join us this morning, until I got my way. I didn't, and you can see why now. So when we were there in June, really a part of the inspiration for even doing the kids club, and we did some 5-day clubs this summer, really came from watching what they were doing in Romania. and saying like, this is really good. Like, yeah, okay, our neighborhoods aren't that poor, but we need this. Actually, are probably just as spiritually poor, and we need this here, and we can do a similar model. And if you look at their churches, which we had a chance to visit a number of them, they're no bigger than us. So, sometimes they're like, oh, we're small, we can't do this, whatever. And there's no excuse. Like, their outreach is sometimes bigger than their churches are. So that is what encouraged me, and I think the Lord used that to get us on this route. And so the fact that Carmen could be here when we're sort of celebrating Kids Club I think is really a cool thing. So we do Kids Club, and actually just talking to my kids about this on the way here, and we do it at a school. Now, we were doing an after-school club last year at the church called Wow Club, Word on Wednesdays, very cool name, you can use it if you want. And we got a few neighbor kids, and there was some stuff happening, but when we moved it to the school, the numbers just have grown a lot. So for example, 2 weeks ago, we were at 16 kids. Last week, we just jumped up to 22 in 1 week. Really cool. And why is it happening? Because we're right at school. We're in their world. They're inviting we're not doing that. They're inviting their friends. This is happening. And of those kids, other than our Cooper kids here, there might be one or two others, but I would think the majority of them do not go to church. So we're not just reaching like church kids who are like going to Sunday school, and like this is what they're getting. And for me, that's a really exciting thing, a moment. And so my connection there is that going to the school is very strategic and very important, and that ties into Hannah. If you can come up here, Hannah. Hannah works not at that school, but she works at a school as a teacher, as a solid Christian teacher. And so I think it was just last weekend. Right? Last weekend, we had Daniel Weekend. Church sponsors teachers. I think we've done it every year. And so Hannah is one of those teachers who went. And
What's the Daniel Weekend?
Daniel Weekend. Okay. So a weekend. You can explain it? I'll explain. A weekend that we have for public teachers in the public schools it's a chance to come together to think a little bit about how can we let God use us more or better or best than what we're doing. A chance for encouragement, I think, as well. And that happens, so she'll explain a little more. But there's a strategy behind being in the schools, and so I asked Hannah to come and share from her perspective of how that works in her career.
Hi, I'm Hannah. Some of you probably recognize me. I graduated from UW-Whitewater in December of 2013. I was a music education major with a Spanish minor, and I got a job pretty much straight out of college teaching orchestra at Beloit Memorial High School. So I've been in Beloit this is my 6th year teaching there, and so I'm there, and I teach orchestras and music theory and piano and all that. And so sometime in college I got connected with Owen, and then the last couple of years he'd nominated me for this Daniel Weekend, and I saw it and I was like, well, that'd be cool to go to. You learn about what legally you're allowed to do in the classroom, knowing full well that I break the rules, and knowing full well that sometimes that's just what we need to do. But then also knowing I need to know exactly where the boundaries are, so I know when I'm crossing that line better. And also to know how to not cross the line, but still bring God into the classroom. And with different seasons of life and different, focuses in my life, I hadn't really decided, okay, I'm going to go this year, until this year. And then I felt this year I just have felt very invested in being in school and wanting to know my students and build a relationship with them and show them Christ in a way that I don't think I've felt quite as invested in previous years. And so I went to this Daniel Weekend last weekend, and it was amazing. It was an awesome weekend. Like, everyone I talk to, I'm like, oh my, this was the best weekend. Because to go into a room and have 25 or more other teachers who all of them are Christians and they want to see God work in their schools, that's really exciting, because in Beloit there are a handful of other Christian teachers and staff at the school, But sometimes you kind of feel like an island, and sometimes it even feels like we have all these issues in Beloit, and you probably hear all the bad news that comes out of Beloit. It really is a great place to live, and God is working there, but it is a very broken place, and I'm sure it is here too. It sometimes feels like an island, like we must be the only district experiencing these problems because these are ridiculous. Just the lack of parent involvement and the kids coming in from broken families and all this stuff that they're going through. I mean, like, is this really just us? And then having all these conversations and realizing it's not just us. And so that was super encouraging to be like, oh my, there are other teachers going through the same things with students who are facing the same things. And it was really encouraging to go through that. And then just the weekend walks through how, like, what are the problems we're facing? And realizing that when we really went down to the heart of it, it's so centered on we need God. We desperately need God. And so, like, as teachers, we need God. And so, like, one of the things we did for the weekend was come up with action plans. So they walked us through how can we problem solve and what are our main problems, and then can we create a specific, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is who's going to keep me accountable for it. And I really like that because I'm a problem solver, and it really frustrates me when we get into like professional development at school, and they're like, okay, and here's our problem, and they spend like half a day looking at the problem, and then we don't get any solutions. Like, what? What was that for? Like, now we're all just really frustrated and like, there's all these problems in the world, and what are we going to do about them? And we have nothing to do with them. And so it was amazing to come away with this and to come away with a group of people who we know are going to support us in it. And so one of the action plans with the group I was in is that we want to find someone who can keep us accountable in our building, to face our fears, to embrace our fears of like talking with colleagues and praying with colleagues, and actually push ourselves to pray with ones who may or may not be believers, and know that God will use that to transform the school, and to be more aware of kind of just what's going on in the school and how can we love our students better, and maybe start an after-school program connected with an outside organization so we can teach the Bible and so we can, pray with people. And it's really exciting and kind of terrifying at the same time, but God can handle that. So it's been really exciting to see how people are coming together. I actually, it just so happens, right now for my first period of the day, I have a para, so like a person who comes in and helps with my class, who's also a believer. And we just the week before this had been talking about how we both felt convicted, like we needed to be praying more for our students, and we needed to be more bold in how we interacted with people. And so then I went to this weekend, and it was like, okay, yeah, I've heard this before. And a couple years ago, we had a prayer group, like a teacher prayer group at school, and so I was feeling really convicted I needed to restart that. So I've started contacting some of the other teachers in the building, and we're going to be getting a prayer group together because we know that God really uses prayer to transform. And so that's our starting point, is getting prayer going again, so that we're not just praying on our own, but praying together, saying, oh God, help us, because we need you desperately. And then just keeping an eye out, like, okay, God, what are you doing in my students? And how can I connect with them? And really engage them in personal relationships, and teach them how to engage each other in personal relationships, and hope that they open up. And that God brings those opportunities in. I mean, I know that He connects me as a music teacher. I get to connect with students, I think, in a little different way than some other teachers do. And sometimes I get to see kids one-on-one for like lessons or other things, and that those are really special times to get to do that. So that's been exciting to get connected with them. And just one other thing was, one of the teacher friends from my church, her name is Deanna, and she just had been feeling really discouraged about school, and just like, should I even continue as a teacher? This is terrible. Like, it's such a broken place. I'm so not encouraged. And actually, she had a colleague who was discouraging her as a Christian and coming against her. And I was like, oh man, I just want her to come to this weekend with me. I don't even know what I'm going into, but I hope she'd be encouraged by it. And that she came to the weekend and was just, I could just see her like come alive in the weekend. And God was using it to encourage her and make her come alive. And I saw her yesterday at a women's event at my church, and she was just lit. Like, I mean, it was awesome. That she was like so excited and talking about, oh, well, I got to talk with, these 2 or 3 other, staff members at school, and we were, pray for them, and to talk about, wanting to start a prayer group and all these other things. That she was so excited, and God had lined up, and even things like that she wanted to do quiet, just be more solid in her quiet time. And so she'd woken up on Monday morning, God woke her up early, and she did her quiet time, and then like a bunch of rough things happened in life the rest of the day, and she was like, Satan's attacking here. Okay, so here we go. This is good. Like, God is working, and it was so awesome to see how God just like so used that to encourage her, and knowing that there's 25 of us now who are out in the schools doing the same thing, and that God will use it and is using it to transform us and to transform the schools.
Wow, some cool stuff there. So, so if you're a kids club, now we do games, but remember we're doing that afterwards. So, and then at the end of the kids club, what we do is we try to break into small groups so we have less chaos again, and try to have some sort of discussion about what we learned. So how we're gonna do that this time is, like when we started, you just kind of checked in, talked to people, asked how they're doing. What I could do now is, again, it doesn't have to be super formalized, but just get 3 or 4 or 5 of you together and just spend some time praying for one another. You might have some things you want to share. You certainly have heard a ton of things here. You can be praying for Romania, for Carmen's work there, praying for Hannah, for all the teachers in the school. We have all the other teachers we have in the school. Where'd Katie go? She's out. Yeah, she's out. Pray for Katie and her health right now. And then also for kids club. So, be praying for these things. And also we have a missionary every week hey, there it is. I'd be praying for the food pantry. Heading into Thanksgiving, obviously you all start thinking about food. People actually need to eat year round, so that's a thing. So I'd be praying for the food pantry as well. All right, so just take that, take some time, again, break into groups 3, 4, 5. And then after a little bit, I'll grab the microphone and start praying over the top of all of you, and that's how you know when we're wrapping up. All right, so let's get praying.